Perfect.
What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another live stream. Got a good one today, man. We're going to talk about Doug Pederson. Just did an interview talking about the state of the Jaguars. Got some things about have some things to talk about what he said. So we're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb a little bit. Got to talk about, of course, the hip drop tackle. Do they a two-hand touch? Is that what we're doing now? It's two-hand touch. I mean, years ago, I remember as a teenager reading an article by Paul Zimmerman and him talking about them making basketball on grass. That was like 20 years ago, and look at where we are today. You can't even come on. How are you going to tackle 250-pound man, Mr. Reed? How else would you tackle him? You got to drop your hip. Oh, it's awful. We're going to talk about that, of course. We're going to talk about this freshman center from Iowa State, Audi Crooks, man. If y'all don't know who he is, you got to find out. There's a lot of phenomenal freshmen in the NCAA women's tournament right now. We're going to talk about a few of them. Talk about LSU's head coach as well as she went off. And Shohei Ohtani, something ain't quite right, man. I don't know, man. We're going to talk about that story. But I got my co-host with me again, once again today, Mr. Reed. How are you feeling today, sir?
Doing good on this holiday weekend. Everything is good, man. I think we got some good topics to debate and discuss and scrutinize and all that kind of good stuff. But there's a lot going. You know, one thing I like to say though, man. I mean, I just think that in our sports world, there's so many different topics, controversies. I mean, you name it. It's like the sports cycle never stops. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I used to think, boy, once football season ends, Lord help us.
Right.
But I'm almost starting to think there's more news, even when it comes to NFL, it's probably more news related after the season surrounding controversy more than, you know, when we're in the season, we're always looking at the playoff races and what quarterback shined, what quarterback didn't. But when, man, you get in the off season, when you have people moving to different, you know, players moving different teams and owners meetings with controversy, rule changes. I mean, it just shows you that, boy, NFL, boy, no matter what season, they always hit the jackpot when it comes to news.
Always they do. They dominate the news cycle. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. It is amazing how they dominate the news cycle. I mean, something can be going on as important as another sports pinnacle. It's the top of whatever that they're doing. It's the best it's ever going to get. And somehow, some way, on that day and around that time, we're talking about the NFL. Yeah. I mean, the brand is everywhere. That why you think they want to go play in Berlin? Or you think they want to play in Spain? They want to take it all over the world because they are the most talked about. They are still king. Basketball is right behind them. Baseball is holding on, but everything else is, you know, you have some things that are growing, but hey, NFL is king. But I hope, hey, you got the secret sauce right now. That's right now. You only funky as your last cut. So what happens when you water down a product too much? They won't talk about adding an 8-team game. I understand the kickoff rule. Kickoff had to go anyway. It was about to be like the Pro Bowl, so I understand that. But now the hip drop tackle. I mean, how don't dilute the game to the point where people will stop watching, because yes, y'all are, they're popular now, but the younger crowd is a very fickle crowd. I mean, you hot one day and not the next. I mean, I've seen it going. It ain't 15 minutes of fame no more. It's about 30 seconds.
I just when you talk about that rule change, the hip drop tackle, I mean, a lot of times when you look at a defensive player making that type of tackle,
Yo,
I mean,
what up,
he
Eric? What up,
more than
Dale?
likely he's gotten beat, and that's the last. That's like the last effort to bring a running back receiver down. And
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. As far as me, I'm a defensive minded guy, and I know everybody want to see scoring, and I know that what attracts people to watch this game on television. But when is it going to be enough is enough, man? I mean, I think at this point, when you look at it, all the rule changes over the last 5 years. I mean, the defense don't have no. I mean, I don't even know if you can tackle anymore. I mean, you can't sack the quarterback. You can't put your weight on the quarterback when you tackle him. And with this move, I mean, I'm almost like going to say, like, man, if you a physical running back and you bounce off a tackle and the linebacker got you in the grasp, what in the world you supposed to do to bring them down? I mean, it's almost like if you tackle a guy below his waistline, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty and automatic first down. And I don't know. I mean, where are we going with the game when it comes to defense? I mean, I know, this game is exciting. Ain't no question about it. I know we all love to see these teams score 40 points and quarterbacks throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. But, man, we can't dilute the games to the point that a defensive guy can't touch a running back, receiver, tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the size of the guys and you look at linebackers now, I'll give you another example. Linebackers today are not the size of what linebackers was 20 years ago.
No, they got smaller and faster. That's so
smaller,
defense has gotten smaller and faster.
Back in coverage.
Yeah, that's why they're catching up.
If we go back to the day of physical style. They don't even play fullbacks no more. But what is a guy supposed to do? I mean, I don't want to go back to Larry Zonga because I don't think people know who the hell he is. But man, what if you have a physical running back and you trying to bring him down, and the last ditch effort to bring him down, you got to drag him down.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know no other way, man. I mean, like I said, I'm a defensive minded guy. I mean, what else can they do? You hit him high, he bounce off. I mean, what is he going to do?
I just thought about something, Mr. Reed. Yeah, I mean, cut you off. I wanted to get this thought out before I forget it. So I'm thinking about this, and the way they could play this, I think the perfect way to play this, even with this new rule, is enforce it however they will in the regular season, however they're going to enforce it, however much, however it looks or whatever, go ahead and do that. But then when it comes to the playoffs, just like when it comes to the playoffs, they're lax on the flags most times anyway, to the point where when they throw more than usual in the playoff game, people are pissed because they're like, yo, you need to let them play because this is the playoffs. So I think you flag it during the regular season, but if you just tighten up the reins. Hey, man, I'm sorry. Your ankle, your Achilles, your knees is going to be at risk because this is playoff football and we got to let you play. That's kind of, if they do it that way, I think we'll be fine with it.
I would like to know what the numbers are. I know we're in this analytic phase.
Oh, injuries?
I would like to know what is the percentage of injuries based off that tackle.
Yeah, that's a good
I mean, I
question.
really would. I would like to see what is the percentage of injuries based off that tackle, and what's the necessary need to implement that rule, or do we just have offensive coordinators, offensive-minded coaches in the rules committee making these changes? Because I don't see it, man. I watch football. I'm sure you watch football, and we all watch football.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what is the rate of injury when it comes to tackling, because I feel that that's just a basic tackle. I mean, you drag the guy down, you hit him low, basically, you're dragging him down. And I think that's what this tackle is. I mean, that's basically what it is. You're dragging him down, you're clamping down on his legs, and you putting all your might to get him down on the turf.
Yeah.
And I don't see it. I mean, I just don't see. I can see a little bit the quarterbacks. You know, when you look at the force that goes in a quarterback on a guy that's, basically defenseless and that kind of thing. But if you got a guy that's 240 pounds going up the middle, and you a 228-pound linebacker, and you can't tackle him high, and this is your last resort of trying to get him down before he get to the score, I mean, what else are they supposed to do? I mean, I'm just being real. And I don't agree with the rule. I don't agree. I just don't agree with the rules that's being made to dilute the defensive side of the game, all in the benefit of public like me and you. I guess we all put in this circle that we want to see offensive football and touchdowns and scoring and 100-yard gains from receivers and whatever else that goes into today's football. And I think it cheapens the game, man. I think you got defensive guys right now that don't know what to do. They don't know if they're going to get a. I mean, you basically going to have guys more concerned about getting a 15-yard penalty than making a play. And I hope like you. I hope like, hey, man, because we never know what officials going to do. We don't, some days they right. Call a play, and the next week they the same play that you saw the week prior, they won't make the call. And hopefully this would be one of those rules infractions that, hey, it's hard to throw a flag or they're at an angle where they can't really see the play. And I hope it don't mess up the playoffs. I mean, like they say, championships are won by defense, and we don't want to go in the AFC championship and a linebacker, basically don't know what the heck to do because he don't want to get a penalty. So,
right.
I don't know where we're going at. And I say this, Brandon, I don't know where that. I mean, this is a great game. I mean, we talking about this before the show came on. I mean, the news cycle for NFL football is unbelievable. It's gotten even to the point that it is more exposure to the game than even 4 years ago in the off season. I mean, I used to dread that from the combine through April, the only talk was the draft.
Yeah.
I used to say that, man, from the time that combine in, which is February, the combine is in February, from February on through April, all we're going to do is analyze, scrutinize, put together mock drafts, talk about potential draft picks, do all of that, make your own mock draft, make about 3-4 different mock drafts, and all for the fact that everybody that you probably picked, who the Jags or anybody else going to select, that it probably won't go to that team. But you done spent the last 2-3 months doing that. But these owner meetings. I don't know. Maybe the owners want the owner meetings and not the owners, but maybe they want to put out more fireworks and have these rules. And I understand. I mean, I understand that the NFL went a long, long time without addressing the issues that really hurt this league when it comes to concussions, when it comes to not being there for retired players, going through these injuries. I mean, we go through the whole.
They're overcorrecting
thing
and hard, overcorrecting hard. Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer, man. Yeah.
It's been an embarrassment.
You can't make up for mistakes that you obviously did over the last 3 decades, I would think. But I don't know, man. I'm at a loss from words when it comes to I don't know what we're gonna be seeing from a defensive standpoint. I do feel that there's value in defense in this league. When you really think about it, you think about some of the great players who played this game, and not every great player is an offensive player. I can go back to Donnie Shell. I mean, you name it. There have been some great defensive players in this league, and some of those great defensive players, I think they'd be shaking their head right now. They wouldn't know how to play the game. I mean, you think Dick Buckets would? How could Dick Buckets be great playing? How could Lawrence Taylor be great playing under these rules? I mean, I heard this on the radio. I heard this on the radio, and I'll bring it up on the show. Mm-hmm. I heard a guy on the radio this week say that, man, they ought to just go and let every player in this league sign a waiver that if I get hurt, I take the chance. I'm making millions. I take the chance. And I'm almost to the point to say, won't the league just do that? Want the league just have the players sign a waiver that I can, consent that I'm taking on this risk, and I'll be, it'll be on me, because I don't know where it's going at. Lord knows what happened. What may happen next. We may not be able to see a quarterback get sacked in 2 years from now. So.
Man, I was just thinking about.
Don't need no rant, but I love this game, huh?
Yeah, I was thinking about a 2-hand touch system I could see in the not so distant future. I mean, and you're right. Yeah. When it comes to this, all this is an overcorrection of their lack of player safety. I mean, because now that you have proof that they knew what some of these things would cause and didn't share that information. Yeah, okay. I get it. I don't want to sound as sensitive to those who have been in the league and those who have suffered because of their lack of information, them giving them I'm trying to think of what the other word is, negligence. Their negligence, yes. But yet and still, I mean, you did know the risks. You did know that this is a place you can get hurt. You did know that this is a place you could possibly die, because there have been people who have died on the field. You already knew these things. I mean, football is something where for a fact that somebody on one of the teams is going to get hurt to the point where he can't play the next game. It is almost guaranteed that's going to happen to at least one player, if not multiple. That's every single game they play.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. But the overcorrection, especially with the poor, for players, retired players, poor care. I mean, awful. The system was awful. The NBA and the Major League Baseball, the Trump, whatever the NFL had, it's much better now because they fought for their rights. But you can tell that a lot of them didn't care enough to do so. That's why it was the way it was. I mean, I keep bringing it up, and I sound like you sound like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but they did not vote on the last CBA, something that determined their future and where the league is going. Most 1,000 players didn't vote because they did not care. They're just there to get their money and move on with the game. It's been after the fact that they want to come back and say, well, hey, they did this and they did that, which, hey, it's understood. $1 billion lawsuit. You got your money. All right, NFL, we get it. You want to make sure you don't get sued again. But like you just said, this is a dangerous game, dog. You can't take everything out of this game. Like it's what it'll turn into is, I mean, you're gonna take away what makes football because that's part of it. I mean, say what you want, yes, offense sell tickets, but defense win championships. That's what it is. That's always going to be the case. That's always what it's been. Like someone like look at the NBA right now. The NBA has a defense problem. Man, I thought it was just the I thought it was just the All-Star game, man. But watching some of these games, man, they got a defensive league problem. I mean, this is what it is, man. I've seen scores come up on my phone, and I've never seen so many 130, 140 scores in the span of like a couple of weeks. Like, I'm like, man, they just standing there with their arms up, letting people shoot over them. I'm like, what are they doing? So, but of course, that's why nobody watches till the playoffs, because then they actually play defense.
Yeah, well, they standing playing zone defense, and when they play zone, they're not challenging the shot. So, I don't like that aspect about it. One more thing about the NFL, man, I feel, do you think there's really just a reaction that they still scared of CTE and the lawsuits, and something got to be pushing this league more than just protection. I don't know if it's a loss of money, revenue, a former player coming back 10 years from now suing this league, getting CTE. I don't know, but Lord, this got to stop at some point, or we just gonna play flag football.
Let me get these comments. Let's see Dale Harrison. Harrison, what up, Harrison? What's going on? Let's see Dale say what up. He said, you see the Jags spend some time with Neighbors. Yes, I did see Jaguar spend some time with Malik Neighbors. I mean, I like him and Brian Thomas Jr. So the question came up, would you trade Josh Allen and the number 17 to trade up and get Marvin Harrison Jr.? Just a hypothetical. Yeah, I've seen where they're talking about pairing Josh Allen with the 17 pick to trade up into like 6 to 8 range, somewhere up in there. And no, absolutely not. I would not do that. The only time I will ever trade Josh Allen in the 17th overall pick is to go get one of the quarterbacks that I like at the top of the draft. That's the only reason. That's the only reason you trade away a Josh Allen and give away that first round pick. Let's see. Whatever happened to don't get tackled? Yeah, whatever happened to that? You say NFL doing the same thing the NBA did. Soft as hell. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, it's what it is. Yeah. So, you know what? Speaking of the Jags, let's go ahead and get on the Jags. We're going to talk about Doug Pederson. Should have had this. I'm running the show here. Should already had the clip up, Brandon. We talk about Doug Pederson and some of the things he had to say about this upcoming season. Some very interesting things I thought he said about Trevor Lawrence. And we're going to get into it. There we go. Yeah, Mr. Reed, just chime in whenever. Just let me know whenever you want me to stop it, and I'll stop it when I want to.
No problem. We'll just kind of let go, and you stop it when you feel it's good. He said a lot.
Okay.
Probably said more.
He did say a lot. Yep. Fair use. Yep, go all the way back.
All right, let's go. A better team now than at the end of the season, and why?
I mean, you would hope so, right? I mean, obviously we haven't played a game yet, so we don't really know. But I feel like we've added some pieces through free agency that are going to help us. They give us depth. We got some experienced guys, and like Eric Armstead, Mitch Morse can really add some. One, the competition you're looking for, but two, I think a veteran presence at those positions. A guy like Mac Jones to come in and solidify and really give us three quarterbacks that you're going to need, as we've seen, as history would say. Our number one thing, though, is to keep Trevor healthy. Our best chance of winning games is keeping Trevor healthy. So I feel like and then re-signing guys, like the DTs, right? Daniel Thomas and Caleb Johnson and restructuring Brandon and, getting Ezra Cleveland back and just being able to kind of work through your roster that way and getting the guys that are going to help us win football games moving forward.
What does that do?
Well, yeah, you guys know I was in Kansas City when we drafted him, so obviously liked him, and now that he became available, and Luke's listen. It's not a knock on Luke at all. It's just a matter of getting better at a position, getting better as a group. And I think Mitch brings a veteran presence. He's done it for several years now, and it's really somebody that Luke can invest some time learning from, right? And understanding. I think Mitch's strengths can be Luke's weaknesses, and vice versa, right? Luke's strengths, Mitch's weaknesses, and they can really work together and have what I would, that competition that you want. And so having a guy like Mitch, a veteran backup, come in, much like when we signed Brandon a couple years ago, just helps us better as an offensive line.
Where does Gabe Davis fit in the one?
So that right there, that right there struck me. He brought that up unprovoked. Nobody asked him about Luke Fortner. No one asked him about how he felt about the situation with replacing Luke. None of that. He volunteered that information, which leads me to believe that they have a great respect for Luke Fortner. He's a kid that they really, really like. They root for him because he went out of his way to say those things. And I will say this as well. It means absolutely nothing because Mitch Morse is the starter and Luke is on the bench. All of that was just, hey, that's my guy. But Mitch Morse is going to get the job done moving forward and for the foreseeable future. I mean, it's basically what he said.
My take on this, I think that
go ahead.
I think they gambled. I thought they gambled on Luke last season, and they realized they made a mistake. They thrust this young kid out there. They thought that he was going to make the necessary jump in that second year. And when it came to strength-wise, I mean, when it comes to football IQ-wise, Luke is good when it comes to that. I mean, he knows where to go. He knows the playbook. He knows all that. But when you're a second-year center and you thrust in there and you getting physically outmatched and, you're not doing the things you need to do, I think I think that signing is a mittens by this organization that they put too much in this young kid. And I think this is when you hear his statement coming out at that owners meeting, it's just an acknowledgement that we got to do things better. We got to do things in the right manner. And Mitch Morse is probably what they needed a year ago, but they wanted to give his kid a chance, and they over-evaluated that. That he could come in and make the jump, and he didn't. So, long story short, I mean, I like that honesty from a head. I mean, I wish this could be the norm every time the GM and the head coach talk, because it's acknowledgement. It's acknowledgement. They don't have to necessarily word to word that we made a mistake, but it's an acknowledgement, because if he wouldn't have said that last year, and he didn't say it, because I thought personally, just from what he said all of last year and how much confidence that he had in Luke, that he probably was the main one who evaluated Luke that he can get the job done at center, being a second year, and he could make the jump. So probably that owners probably go more to Doug than it does to the GM.
Yeah. Because who knows? Balky might have wanted to move on, and Doug, was like he wanted to keep him. So, yeah, maybe so. And now that you say that, the way he talked about Luke just now, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. So, let's continue on.
Gabe is that to me, he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can obviously can run routes. The guy's right around 81, 82 targets a year for the last 4 years. If you average them out, so he's a big part of the offense. In Buffalo, and I think he's going to be another key piece to what we're doing. And we can put him in positions to block. We can put him in positions to run. He's a good route runner. He's strong. He's big. He's local. All things are positive with Gabe, and really looking forward to getting him in there and seeing how he does fit with Christian and Zay and even Devin Duvernay now, getting him in that mix, and obviously Parker Washington, Elijah Cook, some of the young guys we have. It should be a really good, exciting offseason to see just how we can make all these pieces work.
Alex talked about making more plays down the field. That's what he wants to make his next step. Evan Ingram, yeah. So is that the next progression for him, to be more of a downfield guy? Or that a lot of that depends on how you want to use him, right?
Yeah, it depends on how you want to use him, but he's definitely capable of doing that. He's shown that. We've got, as a staff, we've got to put him in positions to do that, number one. And, yeah, that, for a guy like Evan, I think that's, with his skill set, I think it's would only help us, right? With his ability to get down the field, his speed, strong to the catch point, all that kind of stuff. And again, I put it more back on us as play callers, decision makers, to make sure that we are, putting him in that position.
Was the Brenton Strange edition supposed to kind of?
So with Evan Ingram, I want to touch on that a little bit. What up, Ness? Think about Evan Ingram and what Evan Ingram, who he was when he signed, before he signed as a free agent with the Jaguars. Top tight end in the league. One of the top tight end in the league was not the case. He wasn't, trash or anything like that. It wasn't like he was terrible. He was serviceable. He could have his moments. Very athletic, an athletic freak, very fast, considered a big wide receiver. Yeah, we got all the measurables, got all the speed, got all of that. Hands were a question mark. No doubt about it. Hands were an absolute question mark. And that was one of the reasons. Now, hey, you can say that Evan Ingram is one of the top tight ends in the league, man. You don't make second most receptions all time for a tight end. Like, come on. He's proven. Think about New York Evan Ingram and now Evan Ingram and what he did last year, just the last 2 years. I wouldn't be like, no, of course not. No, that's not Evan Ingram, not Stone for hands. That's what every Giant fan who I knew personally, when we signed him, it was like, no, he dropped everything. He dropped everything. We had to get him up out of here. He dropped everything. He has made a tremendous turnaround, and he continues in the line of tight ends in Doug's system, because tight ends flourish in Doug's system. Let's call it what it is. But I just wanted to mention that.
I help that.
Yeah, it is, and it will. Brenton's another young tight end that we got to find ways to get on the field and create some matchups. We like what he did last year for us, and we can build upon that. I think that tight end room is a strong room, even with Luke in there, and it just, again, there's depth and there's stability, which you got to have.
One of the free agent pieces that you brought in was Darnell Savage. What did you like about him?
His nickel coverage ability inside, his ability to blitz. He's a good tackler. He's a willing tackler. He's a pretty good cover guy. Just all things that we were looking for at that position, and he's got the versatility to play multiple spots too on defense. So he does give you that safety flex if you want to do it. You can play that nickel spot if you want to move him in there. We have a young kid, Antonio Johnson. It's going to be a nice little work in progress there with these two guys, and just excited again to get him in and get him working when he can.
The safety market is they kind of devalue that position. What's the impact value of having a versatile piece like Darnell, like a safety that can do a lot of things in your defense?
I think anymore you're starting to see more guys with position flexibility. Just like you would offensive linemen, right? Guards that can play center, tackles can play both sides. Receivers, you can move receivers around. I just think it just helps your overall team. And if you do have an injury at a position, you can plug and play a guy. And so having a guy like Darnell who has that ability to play some safety, even Antonio, who we drafted, Antonio can play safety, he can play nickel. So you got the best of both worlds out of those two guys.
How much do you scheme does? Is that important in the new defensive scheme? For you guys to be able to do that?
Yeah, it is. It is. Ryan's scheme is a little more 4 down. And look, you're playing 75+% anyway in nickel defense, right? So you're always going to be in 4 down fronts, and you're always going to play with a nickel, whether it's a normal nickel body or a big nickel, as a third safety, teams want to call it sometimes. But yeah, it's all part of what Ryan wants to do and what he wants to get accomplished.
How much do you think not winning the division, especially, frankly, losing it the way you did, do you think will serve as fuel for the guys that are coming back?
Yeah, you're obviously as a coach, you're hopeful that's the motivation, right? I mean, the way we finished the last month and a half is not our standard, and it's not what we talk about. It goes against everything we talk about, really. And we still had opportunities all the way to the 18th week of the regular season. So, we're there at the end. We just got to figure out a way to kind of push through that envelope and be there. And credit Houston. I mean, they battled their tails off all year. They were much like us a year ago in 22. We had to battle our tails off to get where we got to. So, credit to D'Amico and his staff and those players in Houston, for winning the division the way they did.
Flip back to what you mentioned. You were the hunter of 2022. Last year, you're the hunter. Are you, in some ways, I mean, you had to get Philly, your team's in Philly the same way. Started out as hunters and then became the hunter. How do you kind of balance that? Do you feel like teams do better as the hunter?
I guess. I mean, now we're going back to the hunter again, right? I mean, but this is the culture that I want to establish in Jacksonville, and this is the reason why you go get guys like Mitch Morse and Eric Armstead and the Darnell Savages and guys that have been to the postseason. These guys have been captains on their teams, and they've been to Super Bowls, they've been to AFC Championship games. So these guys know how to win, and that's kind of the influx of talent that we want to bring onto our young roster. Guys that have been there, done that, and again, it's just I've got to continue to message the team in the right way, and there's got to be a sort of a confidence about you that when you take the field on game day that hey, there's going to be game, you're going to get beat. I understand that, but you got to have that confidence and that swagger that you're going to get the job done, on game day, and I think bringing in some of these free agents we did this spring are going to help that.
How long did it take you to shake off the Titans loss, just the way it happened?
Well, for me, it's not so much that loss as much as it is the last 6 games. When we were sitting there at 8-3 and we had everything going for us and right in front of us.
Our Wi-Fi works in every room, even the basement.
Just talking ass. But no, I like so far, especially talking about that collapse down the stretch. He said the dude brought up the Titans loss. You're like, no. That whole 1-5 is pissing me off.
Yeah.
That's it. Here we go.
But you know what? I
think for me, it's going to be my motivation, my future.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, we can go. I think that those two comments that he's finishing, and the one he said about bringing these veterans in here, are probably the two most important things he said in that whole whatever 10, 15 minute, whatever it was in his interview, man. And it's I mean, just like we said earlier, I think it's admittance that the team. I mean, when you bring in Mitch Morse, you bring in Savage, you bring in Armstead. I mean, I think that's a admittance that the team was too young. I mean, you had guys on that team. You go 8-3, and when you reach the climax at 8-3, I didn't think that. And I think that's what he feels, and Trent Baalke too, that they didn't have enough veterans to push them through for those final 6 games of the season, which is the reason why they brought in these 3 veterans. And that's another. I think that's another. You know what, Brandon? In order to win in this league, man, I've said this many times. I covered this league. And this not just NFL, it goes through all the major sports. It is growing pains is achieved through mistakes. It's achieved through not getting the guy you might have should have gotten. It's trying to develop a young team in the winning, and it's also sometimes overestimating what you have. And I think when this head coach says that we brought those 3 guys in here, I mean, he's admitting that we didn't have the type of guys, we didn't have enough of the guys that we just brought in that could carry this team, who has the veteran experience, who's been there, who's played in Super Bowls, who's been through the playoffs. And that's what we needed. And we didn't have that. And now they got it. And, you know, I've never, you know, I'm probably never going to be a guy to give a whole lot of praise to Trent Baalke. But I will say this about him on this offseason. I've always said that he's been reactive, not proactive. You know, I've always said that, you know, he don't admit his mistakes. Probably draft more on impulse than draft on getting the best player that's on the board at the time that they select.
Yeah.
But I got to give him credit. I think that the guy, other than not getting Ridley, I think they hit on the players in this offseason and that free agency. They addressed the needs that needed to be done on this football team. I mean, when you go out and get an Eric Armstead, I mean, if you look at their games, I go back sometimes and watch the games and all that. They didn't get enough pressure in the inside. You know, I know that Josh had 17 and a half sacks and Walker had, 10 or whatever it was, and they combined for 26 or whatever it was, but they didn't get enough pressure in the middle. Because you get pressure in the middle, it's going to make things easier for Josh. It's going to make things easier for Walker. And then you got, I mean, you bring in a guy that's got the experience edge. How much more you think that's going to make Josh and Walker better? And that's what, if you go back to the 217, a lot of those guys didn't like, I don't know if they didn't like him, but some guys tuned out Calais Campbell, you know. But there were some guys, like a Josh Allen, who tuned in, and it helped. Jan tuned in. And when you look at
a couple of them didn't like Calais. I was disheartened to hear that, but I was like, I can kind of see it, though. I kind of get it. But like you said, the guys who did listen, you know, that's what they're there for.
They don't beat Houston in that. To me, I mean, I don't want to go back too much about 2-7, but they don't beat Houston in the first. I think when you beat Houston in the first game, that carried probably 8 weeks into the season. When you go out in Houston, get 10 sacks, and this guy got like 3 or 4 in one game, it carried them over the next 6 weeks. Jalen Ramsey didn't like Calais. He thought he was phony. He did, but Jalen didn't carry the locker room. There were some guys that, but when you look at a guy like Eric Armstead, who they got now, you got character guys on. Every guy they got on this roster now is different than the people they had on that roster 4 years ago. You got character guys on this team. They're going to take heed. Mitch Morse is not just a leader on the offensive line. He's going to be a leader on the offense. And I think one of the reasons that you brought him in, because I thought they got too much pressure on the quarterback. You got the quarterback got to do this. He's got to lead the offense, and he got to lead. He got to lead men. And I felt that was too much leadership pressure on Trevor. You got to have somebody else to take the brunt of the leadership also to help Trevor. And I think that's what they did with Mitch, and which is a hell of a move to bring a guy in who, he's 31 years old. The guy done been around the block. That's what you need. And on the same end on defense, you need somebody else other than Josh Allen. I'll be honest with you. Josh Allen did a lot to help Walker. Just imagine what Eric Armstead going to do to help him even further. He's going to push him over the top. And that's what you need. You can't just have one leader and you get one rookie and the rookie embrace the one leader and then he don't listen to nobody else but the one leader. That's not the way it works. They ain't working that way in Houston. Even they got a rookie quarterback. He listened to somebody. He wasn't listening just to fellow rookies. But I like the move they made, man. I think this team is moving in the right direction. For all the criticism, I fessed up to what I said, which I guess for most people it don't matter anyway what I say. But I think this GM, I think this head football coach Pederson, I think they sat down. They listened to the quacking. They listened to what the public was saying, and then they went out and they evaluated what the situation was, and they did a great job of evaluating what the real issues of this football team. And then when free agency came, they did what they needed to do to improve the football team. And I think we got a much better Jaguar team than we had when they entered the season with that loss against Tennessee.
Yeah, much improved. See, Ness say we were better when we had a veteran presence. Calais' presence was big in 2017. It seems like they realize that now. Calais was a major help to Josh Allen and Miles Jack and Tevin. I'm all in on veteran presence and leadership. Absolutely. We're going to do a few more minutes of this, and then we're going to move on.
Moving forward, and I'm not going to let it cloud the vision, but at the same time, it's going to be close in my mind as I move forward with the team this spring.
What intrigued you most about Eric Armstead in that trade?
Yeah, this guy, first of all, he's played a ton of football. Trent has familiarity with him, drafted him in San Francisco. He's been an outstanding player for them, obviously, and somebody a player that, we got Josh Allen, who's, a fifth-year guy. Trayvon's a young second-year guy, or going into his third. This is somebody that can come in and I think can really, number one, help Trayvon, continue to grow, but at the same time, give us what we need with the scheme that Ryan Nielsen wants to employ. By having the pieces there. He can play defensive end. He can move inside on third down. He can, same with Trayvon. He can play end. He can move inside. There's a lot of different things. And then you add Roy Robertson. You add Devon. You Josh in there. I mean, there's the making of a potentially good defensive line by adding a guy like Eric and his credibility, his work ethic. And just the amount of football and where he's played.
Leadership skills, the ball to be at the end of the year. How much does that play into a guy like that?
It's huge. Those, and again, that's the reason why you go get guys like that have kind of been there and done it. They're the pinnacle of our sport, and I need guys on our team that have had accolades and awards like that our guys can see exactly what that looks like, right? And that's kind of the next step or the next phase for us as a team. moving forward.
You think you guys got comfortable at 8-3, or maybe even going into the season?
I believe so. I believe you can definitely get comfortable. You can kind of believe and read into the hype that's surrounding your football team, and that's the one thing that you can happen, right? You got to guard against that, obviously, and that's something that I think our team is going to realize, moving forward.
How do you personally handle that? You're good with messaging.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of staying positive. I think it's just staying forward focused, forward thinking, and you hate to live in the past, but I think you can remember the past, and I think it's fuel moving forward. It's kind of our motivation as we go.
How do you feel about your quarterback room right now as a whole?
Corner?
Yeah.
I feel good. I do feel good. Ronald Darby, who we had in Philly, and added that piece, obviously, and with Tyson back there, and now with Darnell adding that mix, we got, as we mentioned, Antonio, and we got some young players that have played, and Monteric and stuff like that. I mean, it's obviously a position that we're always gonna, it's a passing league, right? So you got to have defenders, and you got to have guys that can cover the pass, but you also have guys too. I mean, in our division, you're gonna, there's no shortage of running backs, so they're gonna have to be physical and tackle as well. And so, but I feel like we've improved, and we still have the draft ahead of us, and all of that. So we'll see where this thing shakes out.
Doug, do you think it's a little bit of an arms race right now at the wide receiver position in the league, and especially in the AFC and maybe even in the AFC South? Looks like Houston was even trying to load up on Keenan Allen. Can you just not have enough of them?
No, well, I mean, you can never have enough of any position. You got to have bodies. You got to have, and you got to have the right guys. I think the right guys that come in and add to your culture. But when you think about some of the young quarterbacks, and teams are playing in more 11 personnel, nowadays, and having 3 guys, and it's important that you have those guys. And our division, the AFC South got better in a hurry just at the quarterback position, and you're looking at some of the teams that we have to face, in Tennessee and Indy, and they all have a pretty good receiver rooms, so can never have enough.
How much is this class, the draft class, as it looked?
It's good. I mean, you look at the top of the draft, obviously it's really, and there's always some guys you can find, in the middle part of the draft too, that can come in and help you and probably aid more on special teams a little bit, Of course, we'll see how the new hybrid kickoff rule goes, later today, but it's a good receiver class this year.
Was there a window that you thought you were going to get Ridley back and add Gabe Davis?
There was. That was never out of the question, to do that. So, you always have, you think of every possibility in every scenario, and try to be the best team that you can.
Moving on from Darius, Rayshawn, and Foley, what sort of went on with that decision, and were they just not fits on the defense, or why aren't they back?
It's part of free agency sometimes. It's part of your roster construction. There's tough decisions that have to be made, and all 3 of those guys are very valuable to us. They helped us win a championship in 22 and with the AFC South, and get to the postseason and all that, and they've battled through some injuries themselves. You think about Foley and what he's battled through, and Rayshawn was a staple back there in the secondary, and all of that. So, it's tough decisions, but it's part of our business, part of our league, and you have to move on and try to replace them if you can.
This generation of tight ends around the league, why have they been so productive, and why are they so good in the offenses now?
Well, I think you're not seeing the big tight end anymore, right? You're not seeing that inline guy, and if he is, he's 250 pounds. He's not 290 pounds like back in the day, and so they're athletic guys. They're they're probably multiple sport athletes growing up. It's just they're bigger receivers, quite honestly, and that's what you're seeing coming out of college with some of these guys, and now getting to our level, yeah, you're going to ask them to block, you're going to ask them to do more things, and they can do it, but I just think that they're how they've been brought up, the college program that they came from a little bit. But again, I just think they're the bigger receiver type guys that are going to play in tight end.
Easier to find those guys than the big tight ends.
I think it depends on what you're looking for and the type of tight end you want. We got tight end Ys, you got tight end Fs, right, in our system. So the tight end Y is more of your primary inline blocker. Tight end F is more of your Evan, right? He's a guy you can put in space. He can run routes. He can catch, and he can also block. So it just depends on what you're looking for. I think a year ago it was a pretty good tight end class. It's something that we're diving into this year. Looking there, we're thankful that we got three guys. That we were able to get Brenton last year to add to that room.
Psychology for Mac coming in here. How challenging is that? First round pick, starting quarterback, take a back seat, push Trevor. Like what's the dynamic?
Those are conversations we'll have, and I want to have with him just coming in. I don't want him to feel like there's any pressure on him to perform. He knows the expectation coming in and what we're as a staff what we're looking for. But yeah, you're right. I'm not in the mind of Mac Jones, but you're a first round pick. You had an excellent rookie season, and then things kind of didn't go the way you wanted to, and then you get sidelined a little bit, in there, and everything kind of feels like it may have gotten derailed, and that's not who he is, obviously, and so part of it too is just building that confidence back, and letting him go out there and compete where he doesn't have to be the guy, right, and just go out there and show us what you're capable of doing, and that's the expectation.
Do you like the kickoff proposed change?
I know something's probably going to happen. I think there was around 20% of the kickoffs, 21% of the kickoffs last year were returned, right? 0 out of 13 kickoffs in the Super Bowl, I think, were obviously not returned. They were all touchbacks. I just think it's a play that has gone away in football. But we also got to remember, it can also be a high injury rate play, and so we got to think about player health and safety and keeping our guys healthy. So, it's a unique proposal, obviously. I think there's more questions that have to be asked, and, we'll see where it goes.
You said earlier the AFC South.
Kickoff is going to be wild to see.
I'm muted, Lord. I was muted. We're gonna stop it right there, and I think we talked about this new kickoff rule, and then we go into our other topics. But this new kickoff, like I didn't know that none of the kickoffs were returned in the Super Bowl. Only 20% of kickoffs were returned all season. It is a dying play. It's going away. I think Jamal Agnew had 9 kick returns this year. Even though he missed time with injury, he only had 9 kick returns this year. So I think that is going away. But the new kickoff, people asking, they might want to know. And earlier we talked about the hip drop tackle. I want to make sure I gave that the definition. And so this is the definition. I want to make sure we had to put the definition in there. See, the NFL defines a hip drop tackle as a defender who grabs the runner with both hands or wraps with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or landing on and trapping the runner's legs. So that's what they're considering that as. It's once you see it one time, you're like, okay.
Let's say I call it the drag down tackle. You dragging a guy down, grabbing them below the waist, and you dragging them down. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Let's see if I can get some of these reels so we can show and see.
Maybe we need a USFL tape to show what that new kickoff rule. I think when you kick the ball in the zone, you automatically have to return the kickoff.
Yeah.
Nobody can move until the kickoff team can't move till the ball is kicked. And they line up at the 30.
Major changes coming to the NFL's kickoff this year. So they're adopting the XFL style kickoff, where basically the teams line up like the 35 and the 30, and nobody moves until the ball is received by the returner. So it's done in the name of player safety, but it's definitely a different look. Gone are the days like this where players go flying on the field the second the ball is kicked. The kicker will be all by themselves way back there. But what do you think of the rule change? You think it's good for the NFL, or do you miss the old way? Major changes coming to the NFL's kick.
I mean, I think it can be. Nobody moves until the returner gets the ball. It's, and I think that'll help with injury because you don't have guys flying 90 miles per hour at one another. I remember when a buddy of mine who got me into coaching, Eric Sampson, shout out to Eric. He told me about wedge busters, and I always saw them. I just didn't know what they were called. He said, "Yeah." He said, "You got to be a wedge buster on special teams because for a long time, it was teams created wedges. They basically held hands during the kickoff to block for the returner, and the defense, which is the kickoff team, they will have guys designated to run full speed and jump and launch into the wedge, into the bodies. So they call him a wedge buster. He's basically you concussed every time." He's like, I'm guessing it wasn't a fun job. But they had to get that out of there because too many guys came over CTE, I'm sure. Now with this, I mean, it's an improvement, I guess, especially when it comes to injury. It won't be as bad of a play, but it's a play that we're not going to see often anyway because kickers are kicking the ball like out of the back of the end zone. Like they're not even getting an opportunity to kick. So, but
this is what this eliminates. This eliminates all that kicking out of the end zone. He has to kick it in the zone. He basically got to kick it to the guy. I mean, he got to kick it in the zone, and those guys have to. There's no more fair catches, so he has to return that ball. There's no more of that kicking out of the end zone. So he has to kick it out. I think they kick it out of the end zone and they penalize it. They spot the ball, I believe, at the 35. So they're not going to kick it out of the end zone with that.
Yeah. Oh, what
I
did
don't know,
say? No, go ahead.
I don't know, man. I'm sure that if they want to have a rule that says that we got too many times where we didn't run back the kickoff, then I think this eliminates that. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it's all the same. We put so much in the the threat of injury, and we want to eliminate the threat of injury. And but I think the only positive is that you won't get many touchbacks.
Right. Jakari.
I also think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. You got it.
Okay.
Just say that this is just a one year thing, and then I think they're gonna relook at the whole thing after next year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's to try it out. So Jakari, Devin Hester is set in stone, best returner of all time. Is he though, Jakari? Is he the best all time, or has he had the best moments of all time? Come on, man, because there are some great returners out there. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, and I know he's goated or whatever, but is he the best? Is he the best returner of all time, because it's a lot of the best, one of the best at their position, and they're not in Hall of Fame. Fred Taylor being one of them. Never forget that. But yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I think there's other guys that should have went in other than a kick returner. But I think the fact that kick returns are pretty much being wiped out of the game, I think that them being able to put one in now, it was the only time, because outside of now, I mean, there's no other ones that they're going to be able to put in, especially now. So,
yeah.
He say
We'll
talking about
see how
he
this
ain't in the Hall of
goes.
Fame. He ain't in the Hall of Fame for a wide receiver. No, he's not in the Hall of Fame for wide receiver. Here we go. Dante Hall, maybe. Yes, thank you, Dante Hall. Never forget about Dante Hall. People forget though. I was watching kick return videos earlier, and punt return. Josh Cribbs. Josh Cribbs was excellent, man. You cannot forget about Josh Cribbs. Josh Cribbs was that guy, man. But it was so many, man. What's that? Oz Hakeem, Allen Rossum. I mean, shoot, Darrell Green. Even Darrell Green, even being a Hall of Fame corner, he was a great returner. So I mean, yeah. But yeah, it is what it is, man. But we're gonna move forward. Did you have any more on the Jaguars before we move forward? We get to these other topics and get on up out of here.
Well, I mean, just quick synopsis. I mean, I think they're gonna give Matt Jones all the opportunity in the world to repair his damage.
Oh
psyche.
Yes, they rolling out the red carpet, ain't they?
Yep. So we'll see how that goes. I don't like the fact that they talk about having 3 quarterbacks on a 53-man roster. I don't agree with that move, but it is what it is. But I don't think you need 3 quarterbacks on a 53-man. You might need 3 quarterbacks and have one specifically, be on the scout team or something like that. But I don't think you need 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. Dress 3 quarterbacks every game. Another thing, I like what he said about these athletic tight ends. They're basically bigger receivers. I wonder, does that mean that we're going to go out and get one in the draft instead of having this? I was about to say, instead of having his son on the roster, let's use that roster spot to get a real tight end. And he specified the Y is the blocker and the F is the guy that go out and catch passes in space and those kind of things. Maybe we need more Fs than Ys, and maybe get rid of one or two of those blocking tight ends, and get a extra F tight end to help with the Evan Ingram and others, and put line Ingram on one side and another F on the other side, just to show a different formation. But and I like what he said. I mean, it's no slight about Darius Williams and Rayshawn. I thought that move probably was more on the new defensive coordinator, saying that we need a better mix of veterans, for the style that we're going to play.
Yeah.
I like a guy like Savage. I like what he said about versatility. I mean, you win with versatility. I mean, you got 2 safeties that can play nickel, then and they play it at a high rate, then you help your football team. I like what he said. I mean, I think we're moving in an age of football that you might have to play. I mean, you might have to be skilled at 2 or 3 different positions to keep a roster spot. So and I think with Savage and Antonio, the second-year kid, I think you got 2 guys that can probably play both those positions at a high level. So it's almost to the point we're going to see who the other safety going to be, huh?
That's what it looks like, man. Because man, I wonder if it's Antonio Johnson's going to play nickel and how they're going to get him on the field. Because clearly they want that young man on the field, and then you bring in Darnell Savage, and they say Darnell can play it all, so he's probably going to play a good bit of nickel, some safety, and they're going to have that 3. We're going to see 3 safeties on the field a lot. I have a feeling that we're going to see 3 safeties on the field a lot.
I got to say one more thing. You might disagree with my statement, but I got to say it because I've seen some other reporters. We got to learn in Jacksonville that there's nothing wrong to criticize the starting quarterback. I wouldn't care if it's Johnny Unitas to Bart Starr to whoever. Every quarterback in this league get criticized. And if Trevor get criticized, it's not a slight, you throwing them under the bus. And I couldn't be a reporter covering that football team and not write a hard article on Trevor if he fumbled the ball 2 or 3 times. If I did not mention it in a story that I've written on a game, no matter what, even if they won, I wouldn't be doing my job. And I hope that we don't have a situation in this town where we're afraid to criticize Trevor, because that's not the way it's done in Italy. He's a big boy. He's making plenty of money. And a lot of times these players are not like high school players where you criticize them and they go under the shell and probably even get, it impacts their psyche, impacts their play. That's not Trevor Lawrence, man. I mean, he's a professional, true a professional. And if anything chatter about him not playing well, it's only going to motivate him to play better. But we got to get out of this thing where, you say one bad thing about Trevor, you basically putting a thing out there that, we need to get another quarterback. That's not criticism, that's stupidity. If you're going to say, well, he had a bad, if he make 2 interceptions in a game, we need to go out and get another franchise quarterback. That's not criticism. That's just a dumb statement. But when this kid fumbling the ball, not making the right read, throwing an interception, he has the right to be criticized. That's almost like saying, okay, if you got a running back and he fumbles 3 times, then you shouldn't criticize him. That's not the way it works. Not in the NFL. It don't work that way. So
no.
Anything is that he has to get better. That's an accurate statement. It doesn't tarnish his stat. It doesn't tarnish his stature as being a franchise quarterback. But I saw something on a tweet that says that he didn't warrant the criticism by a reporter that says that and tweeted that out. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I mean, come on, you don't warrant the criticism. Anytime he can lead his football team to the playoffs, who get every snap on offense go through his hand. Doesn't go through the center, don't go through the wide. It goes through his hand first.
Yes.
And if you don't think quarterbacks get criticized, go to Dallas. See what the talk in Dallas right now about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get out of this reality that we live in a town where if you talk one negative thing about Trevor, you're saying that, well, he needs to go. You criticize him because you think that he shouldn't be the franchise quarterback. I mean, come on, that's not what it is. This is not 3-4 years ago, and we got a quarterback threw 5 interceptions in a practice, and criticism of that was warranted, and he may not be the franchise quarterback. This ain't Blake Bortles. This is a kid that showed that he's the talent, and he's got to get better. If he's going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback in this league, he has to get better. And that comes with criticism. Yes. They all get criticized. So let's not be thin-skinned, especially to our media. Your job is to cover
absolutely
impartiality. When you're in the media, you ain't in the Trevor Lawrence fan club. So cover him like you would anybody else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the nature of the position anyway. That's the nature of the quarterback position anyway. They get all the praise, but they also take all of the blame. I mean, that's what it is. Like those people who are fanatical about getting rid of him and getting another franchise quarterback, I mean, leave those people where they are. It's like there's no need to even acknowledge them because, that's just, like you said, that's just an emotional statement. Is dumb, But to criticize him and his play need to be better. Yes, absolutely, all day long. I've been critical of him as well. He has to stop fumbling the football. He has to stop turning the ball over. I think he's like I think 1 or 2 as far as turnovers since he's been in the league at like 58 turnovers or something like that. So he has to be better with the ball. I mean, it's just what it is. So yeah, I can't. You're not doing your job if you don't report on that correctly and be critical of that. Like it's just what it is.
Right. You know, you shouldn't be sending out tweets talking about, well, you didn't think that he deserved the criticism. I mean, come on, man. It's about situational football, and he's got to prove in that area. Probably the biggest aspect of his whole game going into this year, he has to handle situational football better. And let me spell it out. If he runs 5 yards and 3 linebackers are waiting on him, it might be better for Trevor to just slide down instead of trying to get the extra yardage. I've seen that many times where he's trying to get the extra yard, end up fumbling the ball, end up turnover, end up that the opposing team get the football. Situational football is this. I ain't got nowhere else I can go. I'm gonna hit the turf, slide, do whatever I gotta do, and I'll make it up on the next play. That's situational football. When you're at the 1 yard line, you don't see the pass, throw the ball in there high enough that nobody catches it, but either the net or somebody in the end zone. That's situational football. That's what he got to get better at. And he's not a franchise quarterback. That's just saying he's got to improve in that area. And we as a football town, we got to stop taking things so personal. And especially the people who cover the football team, that this quarterback can't be criticized. I mean, come on. We praised him when he threw all them touchdowns and he came back and they beat the Chargers. That's the same thing. You got to praise him and you got to criticize him when he's not matched up to playing to the expectation level that he should be at this point of his career. And that's not saying that he's not a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and man, let's not forget what Trevor goes through here as far as criticism in the media is mild compared to New York and Massachusetts. My goodness.
All I say, go to Dallas. Go to Dallas.
Yeah.
You don't think that Dak Prescott getting criticized from his contract to his play level to everything?
Time. They all over Dak. That's all they do is talk trash about Dak Prescott, and he's a better quarterback than they give him credit for. Dude, I think that's the reason he's underrated is because of that reason you talked about, man. It's what it is, man. It's what it is. But let's move forward.
It's X and O's, and you are what you are when you leave. The regular season doesn't matter. It's what you do when the season is over. January, February football outshines anything you do in October, September, and November. Let it be known.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
If you don't believe me, ask the quarterback in Kansas City.
Right. So, man, but we're going to move forward. Going to some women's college basketball. And I just want to bring her up shortly. The young freshman center for Iowa State, Audi Crooks. Man, she dropped like 40 points.
You have to contest the 3 a little.
She dropped like 40 points on Maryland. I mean, look at that, man. I mean, how are you going to stop that? How are you going to stop that? You can't stop that. As soon as they throw the ball in, bam, it's up. There's no defense around her. You're not going to be able to stop this. And then for her freshman season, she averaged 19 points, 7 rebounds on 57% shooting and 31% from 3. She's only going to get better.
Yeah.
And then as she especially she drops weight, because being in that program now, she's going to drop weight. And she's going to get even faster.
So what is her size? I mean, what is she?
I know she's 6'3". I don't know what her weight is, but she is 6'3".
I think she got whoever this team, who they playing, because I think they scared of her.
Maryland. Oh, they couldn't do anything. No, she's a freshman. She's 18 years old. She's out there killing them. They can't do nothing with that.
Look at this. Look at this. Over the
Look
top.
at that. Hey, look. Hey, and check this. Look, and that's a bigger girl they put on her. Hey, that's a bigger girl they put on her. The smaller players are not big enough to defend. The bigger player is not skilled enough to defend her.
Yeah.
Yes.
You might want to put
Look
one
at
in the
this.
front and one
Look
in
at
the
that.
back.
You got a bigger defender on her. Got nothing for you.
They ain't got nobody behind her. Look what they did. They gonna run the same play 20 straight times. They still ain't stopping it.
They're not.
Man, I love it. I like women's basketball.
What you gonna do with that? You can't. Yeah, and she got a soft touch, man. Come on, and she can shoot. This is a wrap, man. This like what's that? The Juju Watkins for USC, the freshman guard for South Carolina. You got a couple of freshmen who are really good. This is why the women's game is becoming better than the men's game in college basketball. They have the stars.
Like, man,
men's college basketball, they don't have a whole lot of stars.
No.
Now go ahead.
They stick to the fundamentals in women's ball, man. They stick to they play within the offense. If you a shooter, you're gonna get the ball. They play without ego. And they don't play above the rim, but they do play where everything fundamentally that you're supposed to do in the game, they execute it. I watched LSU and UCLA, probably one of the better games I've seen all season. And what they do, the bigs get the ball, the shooters shoot, and that's what you get. You know, everything is confined about who get the hot hand, get the ball. The men's game, that's why you never know who got the hot hand, because if they get the hot hand, he may go 3-4 possessions before he get the ball back. But I've always said that, man, that the women's basketball play the game. They play the game the right way. And they give it all.
Yes.
They give everything.
Yes, they do. Let's see. LSU's head coach went off. We're going to talk about one of her rants right here. So let's go ahead and hit play and see what she had to say about sexism in LA, in the LA Times story.
Nancy Armour with the USA Today Sports. Kim, the Washington Post story about you published today. Have you had a chance to see it? And do you have any comment on it?
No. When did it publish?
A couple hours before the game.
Imagine that. Must have thought y'all would look at it, right? Get some clicks or be a distraction. No, ma'am, I haven't read it, and I probably won't read it. I probably will have my attorneys communicate with me to see if there's anything in there that we need to be concerned about.
Pat Eaton-Robb with the Associated Press. Kim, your players just kind of said it. They've kind of embraced this us against the world mentality. Is that something you've embraced as well? Do you kind of tell them, to like enjoy having the black hat on and enjoy being who you are? What is your message to them in terms of that us against the world thing?
How many of you in here are mothers? Raise your hand if you're a mother. How many of you in here are grandmothers? Damn, I'm the only one. I hope this kind of answers your question. These young ladies, I saw an article. I didn't see it. Someone sent it to me. It was a commentary from the LA Times. I'm not sure if that young man is in here. You can criticize coaches all you want. That's our business. You can come at us and say you're the worst coach in America. I hate you. I hate everything about you. We expect that. It comes with the territory. But the one thing I'm not going to let you do, I'm not going to let you attack young people. And there were some things in this commentary, guys, that you should be offended by as women. It was so sexist, and they don't even know it. It was good versus evil in that game today. evil, called us dirty debutantes. Take your phone out right now and Google dirty debutantes and tell me what it says.
Oh, that is awful because I know exactly what that
Dirty
is.
debutantes?
That's awful.
Are you kidding me? I'm not going to let you talk about 18 to 21-year-old kids in that tone. It was even sexist for this reporter to say UCLA was milk and cookies. Now, you women sit there and you keep your mouth shut if you want. I'm in the last third of my career, but I'm not going to let sexism continue. And if you don't think that's sexism, then you're in denial. How dare people attack kids like that? You don't have to like the way we play. You don't have to like the way we trash talk. You don't have to like any of that. We're good with that. But I can't sit up here as a mother and a grandmother and a leader of young people and allow somebody to say that. Miss Armour, I think you asked me the other day and I cut you off, didn't I? Maybe that's your story to write. Didn't you ask me something about a man and I cut you off? Think about what I'm saying, okay? Because, guys, that's wrong. I don't even know what dirty debutantes are, but I know when I Googled it, I went, growing the game was a part of it. How many of you have been to Baton Rouge, Louisiana? Raise your hand and seen our games. How many of you have been to an SEC game when we played on the road? You want to talk about growing the game? Go see our crowds, people. I don't get that. I'm sorry. I come from a different generation. I get it. But I know sexism when I see it and I read it. That was awful. So I hope I've answered your question. We just play hard. We play competitive. It doesn't matter if it's my son out there. It doesn't matter if it was anybody's brothers out there. We're out there to kick your rear end, and that's how they play. It's how I was taught by the greatest in this business. Look at the people I played for. They're Hall of Famers, legendary coaches. They probably couldn't coach in this generation. But that's who I learned from. I'm done.
I think I'm gonna start cutting carbs.
I like how she ended that. She said, I don't think they could have played or could have coached in this generation. And man, if she didn't say anything true in that right there, she said that right there. Because could you imagine Bobby Knight with some of these emotional young men? Could you imagine that? Oh man, that was must see TV every practice. It's a reality show.
He wouldn't even have players though. They'd transfer. They'd be in the portal before the season ended. Bobby Knight couldn't survive this generation, man.
Yeah,
I'm almost to the point that I don't know how long Miss Mulkey gonna survive it. To be honest, I mean, and she made a lot of good points. I mean, media is in an age now where anything is a clickbait is a good thing, which I don't agree. I think you can overtop, put things that, just to get a click and sensationalize and all that. The milk and cookies is bad, dirty debutantes is bad, no. Yeah. I mean, New York Times is a respected paper, but they're having their issues, layoffs, and there's a lot of things going on there right now. So, but overall, Kim Mulkey, man, is a tough coach. put it that way. I think, from a media perspective, I'll just say this: being in that chair, watching, sitting there, ask the question, and you don't know what kind of response you're gonna get. Sometimes coaches use that to intimidate the media. I think a lot of times she's the, thing about her is this, that Washington Post story, she probably, just from all the attention that she put on the story, that story came out, I want to say yesterday. I think it came out yesterday. It might have came out today, but I think from all the attention that she raised about it, threatening to sue the paper and all that, I think she generated more readers just from her actions alone. Then the story comes out, and basically it's just a normal feature story about her and the way she conducts programs, how she did it at Baylor and all that kind of thing. Wasn't nothing in there that where she's got to go and file a defamation lawsuit against the newspaper.
Right.
But
I've seen that in the
long
comments
story
too.
short, man, she's been winning along. One thing about sports, when you win and you win consistently, you're always going to have enemies. I don't care if you do it the right way. There's always going to be somebody on the other side to say you didn't do it the way I thought you should have done it. And you can't take it personal. I think sometimes she do take things personal. She's won it at every level she's ever been. I mean, she was a great high school player. She was a great college player. She was a great coach. I mean, still is a great coach. And she's going to do it her way, whether you like it or not. I think that in Baton Rouge, she's in a position. I don't know how it was in Waco, but I know for sure, because I know people that in Baton Rouge. She is a coach who like it in Baton Rouge because she can get anything that she wants. If you report her hard, she's not going to talk to you. You say something negative about a program, she's not going to deal with you. She's going to X you out, and you won't have access to this. There are certain coaches that those coaches are being phased out by this generation, but that's her style. And if she don't like your style, you the only newspaper in town. If you don't do it the way she wants you to do it, then you won't get access.
Yeah.
And, she made some good points. I mean, I don't think any women's team, whether it's college, WNBA, or anything, should be called milk and cookies and dirty debutantes. I mean, I just think it is sexist. And I just, I think, sometimes as newspapers, man, we got to think beyond the box that, just because we put the word together and you get people to talk about your story doesn't mean that you're doing your job. And I think that's part of the problem with the business right now, that, we rather be praised by how many people read the story and not be praised by, did I really need to put that? I think that's another way. I think I should have used something else other than that because it does lead into the questioning that's unnecessary, man. I don't believe in having a basketball game, even though the winner of that game today, LSU won, they go into the Final Four. Look, let's be clear. Ain't no game is good versus evil.
Right. Yeah, Catholics versus convicts. Like, come on.
Yeah, we're going back to Miami and Notre Dame too.
Yeah, man. Yes. And you're right. This time is passing her by. She's a dinosaur because she's from a different time. Yeah, and she knows it. She knows it. She comes from a time where they would call it barbaric and archaic. It's what it is. Yeah.
And she's not changing. That's she. I'll say this, man. Sometimes I just listen to Greg Popovich interviews. And I don't know what they won, about 15, 16 games. There's about another week to go before the season out, man. But you know what? Pop is, I don't care how it is or what. You ask, you throw him a question that he don't like. They 16 and 50, whatever their record is right now, which is absolutely garbage and horrible. He's still gonna call you out. Kim Mulkey is the same way. She knows at this time and age that you cannot bully these young ladies. She know it. She knows it. She knows that her time, that clock is ticking. But she ain't gonna go out by changing who she is. She's not gonna do it. She's gonna go out fighting, and it's the same way with Greg. The old school coaches gonna be old school. They ain't gonna adapt to. They're gonna adapt to some things, but when it comes to, hey, I want you in the gym shooting shots, and if you don't shoot shots, and I see you not shooting shots, I want you to get out the gym. That's how she coaches.
Yeah. They don't put any emphasis on feelings like a lot of them do today. And how do you feel about the situation? And you know what's crazy is that there are reporters out there, there's journalists out there that wish they had published that article, because look at the attention that it's giving. Look at the life and the attention that she gave it. I think she would have been better off. I understand addressing it, and and however she believe and what she believe and how she want to use it as a teaching moment or whatever, fine and cool. But she gave them exactly what they wanted by doing so, which is clicks, which is attention. Like that's the only way. Come on, dirty debutante. People don't even know what that is. You heard what she said. She said, I didn't know what it was, but when I Googled it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. I mean, people don't even know what that is. Yeah. So you definitely doing it for clicks. You definitely doing it for clout. Come on, man. This is just what it is. But that is the game now. That person did do their job, Mr. Reed. That's their job, is to get that type of attention.
Yeah, that's where journalism at right now. Is to get the clicks, and whether it offends somebody. I mean, it's just it's the substance of the story. They just want, hey, did I get 100 or so clicks because of something I put in there? And that's where it's at. And it's pressure. Let me say this. It's pressure to get clicks because it's part of your evaluation.
Yes.
You can write a story and got all the basics and break it and everything. Ain't nobody reading it. They say you're not doing your job. So that's the way it is, man. Like I say, LA Times are respected. It's been respected. They got great writers there. But the LA Times going through a whole lot right now, man. When the newspapers start laying off reporters or start doing buyouts, that means they're compromising. That means they're not raking in the money that they've been raking in before, and they got to cut staff. And I think that's what's going on. You don't get cut if you bringing in clicks. So that's what it is.
There it is, and that's what it is. So, it is what it is. We're gonna leave it right there. We'll move on to some baseball before we get out of here. And Shohei Ohtani, I mean, he's like a rock star, man. He's like a cultural icon. He's that guy. He's the face of baseball. And man, who would have thought that the face of baseball would be involved in a scandal such as this? Remember, Mr. Reed, when this first started with the guys gambling, and Calvin Ridley was the first. The bomb dropped on him first, especially in the NFL. It dropped on him first. And when it dropped on him first, and we talked about it, I said that he's just the first. There's going to be many more instances of guys gambling on the game. And sure enough, since Calvin Ridley, nobody's learned a lesson. Everybody's doing them, and they're being very dumb about it. Because how in the world do you bet the under on yourself and use your stuff? Like, come on, man. How dumb do you have to be? Like, that's crazy. I think it was one college basketball player. He was betting the under on himself. So hey, what if his under was like he's 7.5 points, 7.5 points, and he's betting the under. He's at 6 points, and it's the game-winning shot. It's not good. What is it to sit him not to make the shot, to not shoot it? Like, come on. Oh man, it's gotten rough, man.
Do we have his?
Go ahead.
We have his contract numbers. What is his contract?
Shohei Ohtani?
How many? What is Ohtani's contract? Is it 240? What is it? Is it in that article?
So this the first line. It says only a week has passed since Los Angeles Dodgers abruptly fired. It's IP Mizuhara. I guess that's his name. Hopefully I got it right. The interpreter and constant companion of new $700 million slugger Shohei Ohtani. So let me get his exact numbers because they said $700 million. My goodness, just to swing the
$700 million
with a little white ball.
$700 million.
Yes, 10 years, $700 million, with Ohtani devouring 680 until after the contract expires in 2033.
And I assume it's fully guaranteed too. Also, I think they get fully guaranteed deal. What on earth would a guy with a $700 million contract for 10 years? Why would you even want to gamble?
Why?
I mean, that's my first question there. Why would you, if you did it, why would you even want to do it? You got $700 million guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh my!
And I'll be honest, I'm gonna go and say it. You know, I hope it ain't no defamation. It's just we throwing our opinions. The story don't shake out, man.
No, it doesn't.
This story does not shake out. I don't care how. Hey, you don't wire money without that bank contacting you. Okay, that's how it works. They got to have some confirmation, and this is if you wire. I wired money to my daughter, and they called me 2 times just to verify me. And this wasn't no more than $300. Imagine $4.5 million that this guy don't know nothing about. Come on, man. I mean, that ain't the world we live in. Not in America. Banks verify. Because that's taking their money out of that deposit box, and they ain't moving anything if it ain't a sure. Because if it's not a sure thing, who you think gonna pay that money back?
Yes,
they got to come out the bank assets. And that's why they, and that's why they proof and verify. So that story ain't shaking.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read some of this so people know what the story is
money
about.
And all it, one story is this.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this so people get an idea of what we're talking about here. So it says that the scandal encompasses gambling, alleged theft, and extensive deceit, and the breakup of an enduring partnership between the major's biggest star and his right-hand man. Investigators are underway by the IRS and Major League Baseball, and Ohtani publicly laid out a version of events Monday that placed the responsibility entirely on Mizuhara. Here are the basics as Ohtani and the Dodgers prepare for their home opening against St. Louis on Thursday. They say, why is Mizuhara fired by the Why was he fired by the Dodgers? Ohtani claims his close friend repeatedly took money from his accounts to fund his illegal sports gambling habit. Ohtani also says he was completely unaware of the massive theft, as lawyers termed it, until Mizuhara confessed to him and the Dodgers last week in South Korea, where the team opened its regular season against the San Diego Padres. See, Mizuhara has given more than one version of his path to this trouble, which was catalyzed by the IRS investigation of Matthew Boyer, an alleged illegal bookmaker. Mizuhara has consistently said he has a gambling addiction, and he abused his close friendship with the Dodger superstar to feed it. He said, did Shohei Ohtani ever bet on sports? The question that we all want to know. That's the biggest question to be answered in Major League Baseball investigation. And the two-time AL MVP emphatically says he has never gambled on sports or asked anybody to bet on sports for him. The smart guys, that's what the smart guys been doing. They've been getting other people to place bets. Ohtani said Monday he has never knowingly paid a bookie to cover somebody else's bets. Mizuhara also said Ohtani does not bet, and Boyer's attorney said the same. Mizuhara told ESPN on March 19th that Ohtani paid his gambling debts at the interpreter's request, saying that the bets were on international soccer, the NBA, the NFL, and college football. If that were true, Ohtani could face trouble even if he didn't make the bets himself. But ESPN said Mizuhara dramatically changed the story the following day, claiming Ohtani had no knowledge of the gambling debts and had not transferred any money to bookmakers. So he admitted what was going on. Like, they gotta know. Of course, he retracts it or whatever. But he said the quiet part out loud. So when he heard that, oh well, you was gambling and your boy gave you money on that. Oh well, he could be implicated in this. And he came back and it's like, nah, he didn't give me nothing. Said somebody told him like, yo, you got to change that.
Yeah.
Because come on, he changed his story dramatically. That's what was going on. I mean, come on, let's just. Yeah, come on, man.
And let's also state
MLB rules prohibit players and team employees from wagering. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just going to say, like in the state of California, unlike our great state of Florida, gambling is illegal. You can't do any gambling in the state of California. So, unlike some states, gambling there is illegal. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Hell, ours just
can't
came
do it.
legal.
So, just a couple months ago, they run an advertisement for us. Sports betting now allowed in Florida. You know, they got the Hard Rock Cafe. They've been pushing that a lot. Yeah, I got people who know me who they're like, man, you don't do no betting. I was like, man, I can't believe you don't do no betting. The way you in the sports, I thought you'd be doing some betting and stuff. I said, man, I get mad when I lose $2. So I was like, I don't know if that's good for me. I had bought a scratch off. I was kind of peer pressured into buying the scratch off, and I didn't win anything, and I wanted my money back. So I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, that's like fool's gold, man.
I lose. I lose $10 and set something on fire. It's what it is.
And it ain't like you go get some cologne and don't smell right. You can go take it back to the stove.
What's next for Ohtani? You see, Ohtani has played in every Dodgers game since the story broke, and he is expected to be their designated hitter in most regular season games this season, while baseball's investigation continues. Ohtani says his legal team has alerted authorities to the theft by Mizuhara, although his team has repeatedly declined to say which authorities have been told, according to ESPN. They declined to say which authorities have been told. How do you not know? I mean, have they sworn to secrecy, whatever authorities were told? So if he told the LAPD, I can't call the LAPD, say, hey, were you alerted by his team? Like, what's up with that? That's fishy right there too. Why y'all just ain't tell them who you told? See, this is the stuff we're talking about here, man. See, Ohtani's new interpreter is Will Ireton, A longtime Dodgers employee and fluent Japanese speaker who has filled several jobs with the team in everything from game preparation and analytics to recruiting free agent pitches. But Ireton won't be Ohtani's constant companion, and manager Dave Roberts said Tuesday he's optimistic that Ohtani will become closer to his teammates without the buffer provided for years by Mizuhara. They say what we don't know. Okay, and then that's the end of it. What we don't know. They say MLB's investigation of Ohtani's role in the events could last weeks or months, and it's unlikely to be publicized until it's complete. No one outside of Ohtani's inner circle knows what it will find or how serious any repercussions could be, and nobody outside the circle is making informed speculation about the process. One major question looms: how did Mizuhara have enough access to Ohtani's bank accounts to get the alleged millions without Ohtani knowing? Is the slugger overly trusting, or is he wildly negligent in managing his vast fortune, which includes years of lavish endorsement deals in addition to his baseball salaries? Why didn't the team around him, including his agent, do more to prevent the possibility of theft, he claims? Finally, where is Mizuhara? Anybody who knows isn't saying he was fired in South Korea and apparently didn't travel home with the Dodgers. Japanese media have visited his home in South Carolina to look for him. Although he was born in Japan, Mizuhara's life is in the U.S., but his life will never be the same. So he's going into hiding, as he should. Get the cameras out of here. Let the story blow over. This is just my opinion on it. This was his boy. His boy was gambling, most likely gambling with him and for him. They will some of both. And this is allegedly. Yeah. This is allegedly. This is my opinion, I think. And now they were found out, or they were going to get found out. And Mizuhara is taking all of the blame.
Yeah.
And he's pinning everything on him. He's the fall guy. Hey, it's all good, dude. Yeah, you lost your job. But hey, we're going to, wherever you want to go, wherever he want to do, go ahead and drop him that $500 million because Ohtani's paid. Even with that $700 million contract, you heard the details of it. It's 10 years, $700 million, with $680 million of that is deferred till 2033, which means he doesn't see $680 million of that contract until 2033, which tells me this man has money. And he has long money. He has enough money. He has endorsement deals, all kind of stuff. Because 680 million, look, in 2033 on his birthday, bam, 680 right in the bank account. This is what it's going to be. So this man is paid.
Man.
And he's been betting, he's been gambling, he's been doing all these things. This is his boy. The Mizuhara is going to live a good life if that's what I said it is. Now, if he's completely thrown off guard, and he was like, I can't believe it. I trusted this guy, and he was making bets and all of this, which I don't believe. Then, that's a different story. But this was this guy. He made him the fall guy, and he's going to pay him handsomely and take care of him probably the rest of his life.
This guy too smart, man. He knows. I agree with what you said. He's deferred money. I mean, that alone tell me he's smart right there.
Yeah,
he'd be getting a check like 70.
Yes,
so ain't no way in the world somebody can pull one over his head and take money out of his bank account and it just come up as a shock. I mean, come on,
man. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't think the rest of America believe it either.
Right.
He allegedly was helping his boy, who probably does have a gambling problem, and he probably was laying bets for not only himself, but probably allegedly laying some bets for this Dodger superstar.
Yes.
Oh Lord, I'll tell you what,
I think
boy.
so.
And you might well make that statement again. This is not going to be the only gambling story we hear about.
Oh no, man. These young
easy.
guys. Yeah, it's too easy.
It's too easy.
I mean, dude,
it's too easy. You download the app and you can gamble. I mean, basically that's what it is.
I mean, because look at the college ball now. I mean, those guys are making some dollars now, man. Think about a freshman, sophomore who's on the end of the bench in college basketball, and he decides that he wants to make some money, and one of the surefire ways he knows is by betting on himself. the motivation to do so is too great. The temptation is it's too much, man. It's too much to give them that type of power, because I gotta find the kid who was doing that. He betted the under on himself. Shoot, the LSU wide receiver, Booty. Hey, he betted on himself so he can get at least 70 yards, 71 yards, or go over 71 yards. He betted the over. I think it was either 71 or 77 yards, and he betted the over. And it's like the third quarter going into the fourth, and I think he only got like 30 yards for the whole game. Or he don't have a pass thrown his way the whole game or something. And he is snapping on the sideline. He is going off. And everybody just thought, oh man, he's passionate because he wants to win. No, he betted the over. Oh man. Oh.
And I think somebody been protesting or making a claim that they ought to just cut out prop bets. I don't know if that's Robert, for basketball or what, but there's a
college. Mm-hmm. I saw the college commissioner said that he said that they want to take out prop bets for college. It ain't happening. They could want it, but it's not happening. Too much money.
So it's our world, man. The sports world. The sports world got everything, man. Big money contracts, gambling, frauds, scandals, sexism. It's just every corner you look, boy, there's something in sports, man, that leads you to the real world.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why we love it.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Jonte Porter. He was explaining him. He looks into prop bet. What we know about NBA's look into prop bet irregularities. So this is what he's being investigated for. And so these games are being investigated. The first game came on January 26th between the Raptors and the Los Angeles Clippers. In that game, Porter played 4 minutes and 24 seconds. He scored 0 points and made no three-pointers while racking up only 1 assist and 3 rebounds. He exited the game after that limited playing time, with the Raptors saying at the time he re-aggravated an eye injury he suffered in the Toronto's previous game. The second game came on March 20th between the Raptors and the Kings. Porter playing time again was limited to 2 minutes and 43 seconds. He again exited the game early. This time the Raptors saying it happened due to illness. Porter scored no points and dished out no assists while finishing with only 2 rebounds. Why are these games being investigated? The NBA is investigating these games because of irregular betting patterns surrounding Porter's prop bets. In the first game, there were prop lines available for Porter's points: over or under 5.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists, and made three-pointers 0.5. In the second, Porter had lines averaging roughly 7.5 and 5.5 rebounds. After the January 26th game against the Clippers, DraftKings sent out a daily report to users that stated that under the Porter's three-pointers was the biggest money winner for bettors among all NBA props from that night of games. Man, that's oh man, they got him. They got him. They might have him on this, man. They might have it. He said after the March 20th game, a DraftKings media release statement that Porter's prop bets were the number one moneymaker for that night of the games. While the exact number will vary based on the book, the better and the number of other factors, prop bets are generally limited to between $1,000 and $2,000. One source told ESPN that multiple betting accounts attempted to place bets upward of $10,000 to $20,000 on Porter's props bets ahead of Clippers games. Oh, that's a red flag right there. They generally people put $1,000 to $2,000 down on a prop bet, and right before his game, somebody was trying to put $10,000 and $20,000 multiple bets now, $10,000 and $20,000 bets on him ahead of the game. Come on, man! Of course they were going to see that. It's Jonte Porter. Why am I doing prop bets on Jonte Porter? Oh my God, man! These guys, this is dumb. This is the stereotype. Jocks are dumb. This is why stuff like this. This is why.
Hey man, this is the joke of the week, man. Pete Rose said early this week, man, I should have had an interpreter. Pete Rose said I should have had an interpreter. He said that's the way you do it.
That's the way you do it. My goodness.
And I agree with Mr. Robert. Yeah, he should be in the hall. I mean, how much punishment is the man gonna get?
Yeah.
Put the man in the hall, man. Good Lord. I mean, you gonna punish him for the rest of his life? That's my opinion. Put him in the hall. You done punished Pete Rose worse than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least he admitted it.
Yeah, at least he admitted it.
At least he admitted it. Say, man, I should have got an interpreter. That's how you do it. Get you an interpreter.
They say, they say people were trying to do whatever they could to bet Jonte Porter props. The source told ESPN. They say, and then just a few days ago, the same thing. We had a bunch of people trying to bet the under for more. Man, this is something, and it's all alleged, as far as what they're investigating and why. You can clearly understand why they're investigating him, and it could be nothing. It could be a nothing burger, but they're going to keep this. They're always going to be on stuff like this because it's rampant now, man. It's here. The genie is out of the bottle. The toothpaste is out of the tube, and it's not going back in.
If this get out of control, blame the leagues. That's
the leagues got in bed with these people, man. Yeah.
They took the money and they ran with the money.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it's going to eventually come to, a scandal or something. It doesn't happen before in sports history. And it's just the way it is. Doesn't matter who run the gambling. It's just that's when you take that money, put it advertise, and you can go to Washington and watch the Wizards and lay a bet while you're in the arena.
Yeah.
You got nobody to blame but the leagues.
Yeah. That's it.
No, they're not going to stop prop betting.
No, they're not going to stop prop betting.
You think Vegas going to stop prop betting? That's one of their biggest money makers. They're not going to stop that.
Huge. It is huge. So, but man, we're gonna leave it right there.
Where we live.
Yeah, man, we're gonna leave that right
we
there.
live in.
But Ohtani, man, you got to think about it. He's the face now. Ohtani's the face.
Yeah, face of baseball.
You want the face
of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, you don't want the face of your league tied up into this, man. So the Major League Baseball is between the rock and the hard place when it comes to Ohtani. Even if he is guilty, even if he has been betting, they're between the rock and the hard place. Now they could throw the baby out with the bathwater and put him out on Front Street, say, hey, he this, and go ahead and ban him. I don't think that's good for their game. I would not judge them if they decided to, hey, they helped him craft this story. They're like, hey, throw it all on Mizuhara. Hey, we'll put you up and make sure your family taken care of and your children's children are taken care of. Just shut your mouth and go away, and continue to let Shohei do what he do, because too much has been invested in him. So, I mean, I'm not past that right there, because that I don't even think that's conspiracy theory. That's just something that it could be true right now. So, I don't know, man. But it's going to keep coming, man. It's going to keep coming. And more prominent players are going to get, because the guys on the bottom of the roster, it's to be expected. The guys who aren't superstars, who aren't making $30 million a year, it's to be expected that they're going to bet. They're trying to get their money up, because some of them used to sell drugs. So probably some of them still do, allegedly. But hey, it is what it is. So they're going to do what they can do to get a leg, what they feel like is a leg up. But these prominent guys, they're going to be doing the same thing. Because look, hey, Jordan was not the only one. I hate to bring it up. It is what it is. He said he didn't have a problem. Who knows whether he really does or not. Highly competitive. I would say it's probably been a problem allegedly in his life. But you're going to see more guys like that. I mean, it's coming, man. It's coming. The temptation is too great. And then that's when point shaving is going to come into play. And that's and some would say that it's going on already though. So, and I can't disprove it.
I don't know, man. I don't think baseball can survive another Black Sox scandal or something major impacting a World Series or something like that. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't think so either, man.
Pretty big deal, though. Your face of the league is that, could be involved with gambling.
Yeah,
that's how you start your season off.
Yeah, this ain't like sign stealing. Nobody cares about sign stealing, really. Nobody cares about. Oh, you stole your sign. Oh well, it's what it is. But gambling on the games you're playing in, where you could directly affect the outcome. No bueno.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you say I did not do any gambling. I especially didn't do none with baseball.
He had to let it be known, man. Yeah, he had to let it be known. He had to let it be known.
No English, but he sure know not to. He knew to say that one.
He did know to say that. He did know to say that.
Yes, sir.
So, man, but we're gonna leave it right there. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Wherever you're watching, whenever and however, I appreciate you for making us a part of your day. Like, share, and subscribe. Hey, give me a comment. It's all free. It helps with the algorithm. Follow me on all my social medias. Follow Mr. Reed on Twitter. And we will be back with more live streams. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out, y'all.
Peace be with you.